Tyne region.
With Helen Carnell and Jonny Blair.
Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us.
On tonight's programme, a coroner rules ambulance delays could possibly have contributed to the death of a man from Redcar after his oxygen failed in a power cut.
Not adding up, the underdiagnosed and under-supported children struggling with numbers and the impact it could have in later life.
Rivalry reignited. Newcastle welcomes Sunderland to St James's Park for the first men's Tyne derby in the Tyne for a decade.
And putting us on the map, we'll meet the two tour guides in the running to become a national champion. First tonight, the family of a man from Redcar say they are grateful after a coroner ruled that delays to the arrival of an ambulance crew possibly contributed to his death.
Peter Coates lived with a severe lung condition. The coroner concluded that Mr Coates would not have died when he did had it not been for an unexpected power cut, which stopped the home oxygen supply he relied on.
The inquest previously heard details of delays in the arrival of the crew. The North East Ambulance Service today said it is truly sorry that it didn't respond more quickly. Our health correspondent Helen reports from Middlesbrough.
The family of Peter Coates say they've endured 7 years of distress in trying to pursue answers over the circumstances of his death. Today they heard a coroner rule that delays in the arrival of a North East Ambulance Service crew possibly contributed.
It's been pretty tough on all of us, really, mentally. We've all had our own challenges and trying to deal with it. There's times when we've all wanted to just, give in. Now we can just start thinking about, start remembering the good things about him and start, thinking positively instead of always having this hanging over our heads.
The 62-year-old former steelworker lived at his home in Redcar with a severe form of the lung condition COPD. He depended on an electrically operated supply of oxygen. On the day of his death in March 2019, the hearing was told Mr Coates had called for an ambulance just after 4 in the morning because a power cut had stopped his oxygen supply. He'd said, "You'd better get someone quick." A first ambulance from Redcar was allocated, but its crew was unable to open the station gates due to the same power blackout. A second crew from Colby Newham was assigned. The inquest heard it had been given permission by the ambulance control room to refuel. It stopped en route to do so, though it was already carrying almost half a tank of diesel. After arriving at Mr Coates' home, it was another 10 minutes before the crew entered the house because of difficulties finding a door key. The coroner was told how the paramedics had spent those 10 minutes searching in the dark outside the property, using torches and the light from a mobile phone for a safe box which contained the key. Once found, the crew was able to enter the house, where they discovered Mr Coates upstairs. Even though he'd managed to retrieve a substitute portable oxygen cylinder, he had died. Today, the coroner ruled Mr Coates' death was due to complications from very severe COPD, coupled with the consequences of obesity. He found the grandfather would not have died when he did, had the power cut not taken place. The coroner also pointed to a series of improvements made by the North East Ambulance Service in the 7 years since Mr Coates died. They include new systems for investigating incidents, training for crews on how to manually override station gates, and steps to explore whether information on fuel from on-board ambulances can be sent remotely to the organisation's control centre. Peter Coates' family accept he was an ill man, but they say they're grateful for an acknowledgement of wider factors on the day he died.
And Helen joins us live. Helen, this case has previously been investigated as part of an independent inquiry into failures and cover-ups at NEAS. What has it said today following this verdict?
Well, responding specifically to the conclusions of the coroner, the Deputy Chief Executive of the North East Ambulance Service told us in a statement, "This is a tragic incident which we understand has deeply affected the family and those staff at NIAS who were involved. We are truly sorry that we were not quicker in responding to Mr. Coates' call." And the statement then points to a number of those changes in processes that have taken place since that time, as acknowledged by the coroner. And the statement continues, "We recognise that the time it's taken to reach this conclusion has impacted Mr. Coates' loved ones, and we wish to once again pass on our sincere condolences to his family for their very sad loss."
Helen in Middlesbrough, thank you very much.
Now, one child in every classroom is thought to have dyscalculia. That's a learning difficulty that affects understanding and processing of numbers and maths.
Despite its prevalence, a new study has found that teachers receive very little training to identify it or to support pupils who are diagnosed. Hannah Ludlow reports.
I can add, subtract or multiply. Dividing decimals make me cry. Turning a difficult childhood experience into a career. I can add, Mia Borthwick's one-woman show is based on her dyscalculia diagnosis.
I struggled to tell the time. I couldn't add or subtract. I couldn't do my times tables. Also sequencing as well. Getting into a routine, I found that really difficult.
She might make light of it now, but Mia's memories of her school days have stayed with her.
In terms of my self-esteem, I do think that is down to the lack of support that I received at school, which made me sort of come away from school thinking that I wasn't very clever, and that still sticks with me today. It hasn't left.
A new study has found 42% of educators in the UK know what dyscalculia is. Just 3% were trained in how to support pupils when they first became teachers, and 20% have trained whilst teaching.
Not achieving GCSE mathematics can be a barrier then to future opportunities and employment prospects. So it's really critical that children with dyscalculia receive support.
Sally Eccleston is a dyscalculia assessor in Northumberland. She says adapting learning techniques is vital.
The quicker a child receives intervention or support, the more likely they're going to be able to close that gap. And obviously, if a child is struggling, the gap is likely to get bigger and bigger. They're constantly going to be playing catch up. So the more we can try and get children to where they should be is obviously important.
1 in 20 people are thought to have dyscalculia, but growing up, Mia always felt alone.
I go back to being told that no other child had ever been diagnosed with dyscalculia in that school. That made me believe that I had this sort of alien condition that no one had ever heard of, and it was really rare. But obviously that's not the case. It doesn't make me unintelligent. It just makes me different.
Hannah Ludlow, ITV News.
Well, the Department for Education told us we're investing £200 million to support staff to adapt teaching to meet a wide range of needs in the classroom, as well as £1.8 billion to widen access to specialists in every local area.
And the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30 with Lucrezia.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, the latest on the meningitis outbreak. Health officials say sporadic household clusters of the disease linked to Kent could, in the coming weeks, appear in other parts of the country. No end to the strikes on Iran on Persian New Year. Meanwhile, here, a warning energy bills could soar by more than £300. Plus, keeping up with the park runner who is setting new records, and she's only 9. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, it's been a decade to the day since there's been a men's Tyne and Weir derby at St James's Park. And for those of us who are into that kind of thing, well, it's a big weekend.
Indeed, we sent Amy Sutton into Newcastle today to see how the city is gearing up.
No, it's not a dream. Newcastle is welcoming its neighbours for the first time in a long time. More than 2,500 Sunderland fans will be making their way over the river for the first men's match in Newcastle in a decade. Fans heading this way want to get there bright and early, The Tyne derby waits for no one.
10:15, that's the time Sunderland fans will march to meet the Toon Army, leaving Central Station, destination St James's Park.
The operation is planned to the nth degree by emergency services to ensure everyone arrives safely from A to B.
Come on, it's been 10 years since Sunderland last visited Newcastle here, and by 12 o'clock on Sunday it'll be down to business on the pitch.
Off the pitch, everyone will hope it's a repeat of December, where everyone seemed to get along okay. And for fans staying on Wearside, they'll have their pick of places to take in the action.
We open from 9 o'clock and we'll just start serving beers at 10. And when we win, not if we win, it'll be just electric, the whole experience. We've been fully booked for about 6 months now. Everyone kind of, just as soon as the date comes from obviously the football side of things, everyone books in. So we have brought emergency tables and chairs in against those extras who didn't book in time to fit them all in.
Back in Newcastle, even those who have already nailed their colours to the mast, like Aaron, hope it's a good day for everyone.
Biggest event of the season for us, for Newcastle supporters, and I hope it's a good game, and I hope it's a fair game, and may the best team win.
Look, even Lilo is looking forward to it. She's earned her stripes and is kitted out ahead of the big day. And then there's those who don't have tickets, but want to soak up the vibes, like Siska from the Netherlands. She's heard this is a pretty big deal.
Of course, I've heard all about it. Our friend told us because she's been here before, so I'm excited to see.
Early kick-off means early doors when there's one show in town.
We have got Newcastle's biggest indoor live arena fan zone for the Newcastle United versus Sunderland Derby Day clash, and we cannot wait. The atmosphere in NX is brilliant, and I think because it's indoors, you kind of get that football feel. It's going to be chaos in the air. We can't wait for it.
Put it this way, this is one party not to be fashionably late for. Amy Sutton, ITV News in Newcastle.
Well, let's move on to the sporting side of Derby Day now. Simon's here in studio. As we've heard, it is 10 years today since the men's teams last met at St James's Park. Simon, time to make some new memories now, I guess.
Isn't it? Yeah. I mean, recent Derby history goes in Sunderland's favour, but I think Newcastle are probably most people's favourites on Sunday. The atmosphere on Derby Day is always guaranteed. The result, that's never guaranteed.
Powering local sport in the community, Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
10 years ago today, the last time at Gallagher. Rafa Benitez masks were the must-have fashion accessory. Rafa Benitez! Sunderland had won 6 derbies in a row. They didn't win that one. Jermaine Defoe scored, Alexander Mitrovic equalised. 1-1, a point apiece for Rafa and Big Sam Allardyce. The teams then went their separate ways for nearly a decade. When these friends reunited in December, Sunderland won. They're unbeaten in 10 Premier League games against the old enemy, but they're not in great form right now. Newcastle's league form is good, but as Eddie Howe got on the bus in the Camp Nou this week, he had to be wondering how his team would respond to their 7-2 Champions League defeat against Barcelona.
I think this game will be possibly a great game off the back of what happened on Wednesday for us, because there's no time to dwell or think too much, because we can't carry any baggage in this game. This is going to be hard enough and big enough for us just to focus on this.
It's a perfect game to come back from such a heavy defeat. It really is. They disappointed early part of the season going over to Sunderland as well, so they put that wrong right as well. So I think it's the perfect game, to be honest. You know, it's you've got to pick yourself up and pick yourself up pretty fast.
It's for our supporters. We have to play for all of our people in this game, and that's how I see it.
In this region, the derby means a lot, and we like it, and we embrace the challenge. It was the case for the first game at home, I think.
As we mentioned, the Black Cats have the upper hand in recent derby history, and most of that history's on the walls of the Sunderland Fans Museum. They'll be showing the match on Sunday.
I'm sure the guys are all briefed, ready for Sunday, and obviously understand it's 3 points, but it's also then bragging rights. Obviously Newcastle's come off a considerable defeat there recently. That might go for their favour, but this game is a one-off. It's what's needed in the Premier League, and obviously it's what's needed between two sets of fans, really. The rivalry is is intense.
So we want to do it again in a different context. Now it will be away from home. I don't know if it's more difficult or no, we'll see.
Sunderland fans hope history continues down the same path. But if the form book is traditionally thrown out of the window on Derby Day, Newcastle want to chuck the history books out as well. They haven't won a derby at St James's Park since Kevin Nolan's hat-trick in the 5-1 romp in October 2010. Magpies fans think that's far too long. Sunderland fans don't think it's nearly long enough.
Always a politically loaded question, Sam. I can't believe I'm even going to ask it, but who's going to win?
The politically correct answer is obviously to say that it's probably going to be a draw.
Isn't it?
Look, I think Newcastle maybe emotionally need it a bit more because they lost in Barcelona midweek. They lost the last derby and didn't play very well at the Stadium of Light. But I could talk myself into any result, to be honest. Remember, form book out the window, all that sort of thing. 5 Newcastle United players were named in the England squad today for the upcoming friendlies against Uruguay and Japan. Lewis Hall's the headliner. He's been brilliant this season. He plays in England's perennial problem position at left-back, and he's back in the squad after a long injury absence. He's joined by Dan Burn, Tino Livramento, Anthony Gordon and Aaron Ramsdale. Middlesbrough have 8 games to go in the Championship. If they win them all, they'll be promoted, but life is rarely that simple. They're second in the table. That's the second automatic promotion spot. The 2 teams behind them, Ipswich and Millwall, play each other tomorrow. Borough are away to relegation-threatened Blackburn, which sounds easy, but this is the Championship.
It's a tough one, and because of the teams lower down the table has been very, very strong lately. It's more and more teams that get involved in that part of the league, and it's almost like you're into the playoff battle or you're into the relegation battle. It's very few teams that are in between and have nothing to play for.
You can see all the EFL highlights on ITV4 at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. As discussed, it's men's derby day in Tyne and Wear this Sunday. It's the women's derby next Sunday. Sunderland meet Newcastle United at the Stadium of Light on March the 29th. Both teams were in Women's Super League 2 action in midweek. Sunderland drew against Sheffield United. Newcastle United boosted their promotion hopes with a win over Birmingham. That was a great goal. The Magpies have another big one on Sunday against Crystal Palace. Sunderland face bottom club Portsmouth. A Black Cats win would do struggling Durham a favour. Durham themselves are at home to Southampton. Away from football, Rugby Union's Championship returns after the Six Nations. Newcastle Red Bulls, bottom of the table, face Northampton, who are top. It's Stephen Jones' first game in charge.
Huge amount of respect for the Saints and the way they're playing and how successful they are at the moment. But from our perspective, we're really looking forward to this. You want to test yourself against the best, and obviously they sit in number 1 in the league, so one opportunity.
Simon, thank you. Big weekend ahead. Now, if you've ever had to spend a spell in hospital, then the radio station will have been a lifeline to cut through some of the boredom.
Well, what you might not have known is that this weekend marks 100 years since the first hospital radio broadcast in York. Here's James Webster.
Bill Bowes has been volunteering at Sunderland Hospital Radio for more than 50 years.
I was a teenager during the 60s when pirate radios started broadcasting. Listened a lot to Radio Caroline, became fascinated by it, and then one day a friend said, well, why don't you go to hospital radio? And that was in 1972, and I've been here ever since.
In all that time, his shows will have been heard by many hundreds of patients.
When you're a patient, you're lying in bed looking for walls, basically. So you need something to distract you. And so what people do, they put their headphones on and listen to the radio.
And the shows are a big hit with patients.
Especially on a Saturday and Sunday, you don't get many visitors, and it's really quiet on a weekend. And you listen to the football, you listen to the sports news after that, different games. So yeah, it helps you a lot.
Bill Buell.
This year marks exactly 100 years since the very first hospital radio station was founded.
And a very good afternoon, welcome along to the afternoon show on York Hospital Radio.
And that was here in our region, in York.
The way people listen has changed. The old stethoscope headphones in those days used to be very painful and put in their ears that maybe didn't like them in their ears very long. We've now moved on to more comfortable headphones, and now we stream to the hospital and beyond.
The original hospital and its station no longer exist, but here they have an old photo which shows how people used to dress up to raise funds. Today, the volunteers have to do much more than just presenting.
You've got to look after the place. They've just nicely refurbished it, repainted the walls, did a bit of replastering, but moving racks full of records weigh a ton. So we had to decant a load onto the floor, and today what I'm now going to do in a few minutes is to start moving them back.
This weekend, stations from all over the country will get together for a special gala event celebrating 100 years of hospital broadcasting.
The people involved, the volunteers involved, really have a passion for what they do. It's as rewarding for the presenter and the volunteers as it is really for the patients that we see and we hear the thank yous and we see the reward, really, the benefits.
It is a proud centenary with a hope of many more years of entertaining and supporting people when they're in hospital. James Webster, ITV News.
And Ronnie, who we saw in the hospital there, was due to be home today, so best wishes to him.
Now, to the two men who really are putting our region on the map.
Yes, Jimmy Nicol, a guide at Raby Castle in County Durham, and Dan Monk, who is an astrophotographer from Kielder Observatory in Northumberland, are among 10 national tourism superstars in the running for a Visit England award.
Now, voting closes this weekend, so we sent our correspondent Chris Jepson to meet both nominees.
And Raby's full of history, over 1,000 years of history, Each room is a story to tell,
At 87, Jimmy Nicol's energy and enthusiasm promoting Raby Castle and County Durham is infectious.
Every day is a different day. You meet people from different parts of the world, and the castle is full of history. You never really take it all in, and each day is something different, and each day you meet people from different parts as well. And we're here just to chat to people and give them a nice warm welcome to show what Raby has to offer,
He's one of 10 people nominated for Visit England's Tourism Superstar Award, something not lost on today's visitors.
He is such a joy to be with. His enthusiasm and passion just comes over, and it's infectious. So thank you very much, Jimmy.
His knowledge was unbelievable. Every single trinket, every single picture, everything down to the crystal wine glasses and how they would have been used, the opulence he describes. You feel like you're with a friend.
It was a friend and colleague who nominated Jimmy.
If you couldn't pay for advertising, like Jimmy talks to people, he brings everybody together over Raby, Teesdale, County Durham. He's fantastic.
Confident and moved by the attention.
There's something very special, I'll be honest, Hopefully get as many votes as you can to take not only me to London, but also to take County Durham and Teesdale and spread the wider word. Come back to Teesdale and Raby.
And what you see in there is tons of galaxies. We're now flying through the structure of the universe. So all of these individual points that you're seeing are all galaxies.
In neighbouring Northumberland, Dan Monk is also nominated for his work at Kielder Observatory.
I'm delighted to be nominated, and actually was quite a surprise, but I feel in such a fortunate position to be able to communicate to the public about the importance of our dark skies.
His expertise in astrophotography noted nationally and by tourists.
I think it's good that you've got somebody who's so knowledgeable, who can take people and introduce them, or people who are more expert, have somebody who's experienced.
The biggest thing is his enthusiasm and the way he puts it across. He's a great communicator. He sold it to us in a short tour. We want to come back again.
Dan provides a unique experience for astro tourists, showcasing Northumberland's dark skies to a global audience.
The best reactions that we get from the public when looking through telescopes are looking at things like Jupiter, like the rings of Saturn is always impressive, seeing close-ups of the moon, the craters and the mountains. And of course, on those moonless dark nights, the Milky Way is probably the most striking thing. You can see the spiral arms of our galaxy stretching across the sky, and it really is a good way of showing people how big the universe is.
Two men putting the Northeast on the map. The public vote for the National Award is open until the 22nd of March. Chris Jepson, ITV News.
And good luck to Jimmy and Dan in those upcoming awards.
Jimmy and Dan Derby.
Yes.
Now we're in the mood. Ross, please, I'd like some really nice weather so I can go and see these lovely tourist attractions that we have in our region, please.
I can deliver, certainly
Thank
for
you.
these after
Oh,
weekend.
yes.
And we want those clear skies for stargazing
Yes,
as
we
well.
do.
Potential aurora over the next
Oh, as
couple of
well.
nights. But yes, it has been fine and sunny for most of us today. That cloud eventually cleared for the most part. It did linger for some. But yes, plenty of sunshine today. And that's exactly what we wanted today of all days. It's a big day for the sun, particularly at 2:46 in the afternoon. Why is that? Well, that's the exact time the sun was directly over the equator and before it moved into the northern hemisphere, making it the spring equinox. It is now officially the start of astronomical spring. By all counts, the season has now changed. It felt like it in the sunshine, 17 degrees. A bit cool under the cloud, but there is a lot more sunshine to come into the weekend. Let's take a look.
A heavy downpour will subside and light relaxation will set in. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Lots of that mild spring sunshine to go around today. Bit of stubborn cloud lingering at times, but for most of us, dry, bright, and again in the sunshine, those temperatures holding up well above the average for the time of year. But it is turning chilly overnight, risk of a little bit of frost into Saturday morning, but it does set us up for another fine day, sunny and mild once again into tomorrow. But then on Sunday, there is a change on the way. The cloud is starting to increase, some patchy rain, and temperatures are set to fall. High pressure's nearby at the moment. It's keeping things nice and calm, the lighter breezes, the clearer skies, lasting into Saturday, first thing Sunday as well. But then the cloud is starting to roll its way in from the north. We're going to see a little bit of patchy rain on this front here. It's a cold front, and so it's behind that we see the chillier air spilling its way across the UK. For now, as we head overnight, again, those temperatures are falling away with the clear skies and lighter breezes. We're going to see some patches of mist and fog forming into the early hours, and certainly in the countryside could get low enough for that little bit of frost, temperatures hovering at around freezing. So into tomorrow morning, there's a definite chill in the air, but any mist and murk is quick to clear. Very similar to today, there's plenty of sunshine around. At times, the clouds coming and going turn that sunshine hazy, but generally dry, bright, lots of blue skies. And again, we're looking at highs around 15, maybe 16 degrees. Later Saturday and into Sunday, initially holding on to those clearer skies and the lighter breezes. So again, overnight into Sunday morning, a definite chill in the air, but the cloud is starting to thicken, initially turn that sunshine hazy. Later on, though, we see the front arriving, the chance of a little bit of patchy rain, and that does set the tone as we head into next week. It is looking a bit more unsettled, risk of patchy rain, and again, there is that drop in temperatures.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Thanks, Ross. We'll take that. Thank you very much. In just a moment, the national and international news from Lucrezia.
I'll be back with an update at 10:40. Until then, from all the team, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.